Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Utah Film Pod, and welcome to 2022. Dani, it's good to be back. It's Dani Hatch and Josh Terry back to talk about movies and maybe some other stuff. I keep wanting to talk about other stuff, but we'll try to stick to movies for the most part. How you doing, Dani?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year.
Thanks. You too. You too. Happy New Year. Did you do anything fun over the holidays?
Just visited my fam. We did this big family reunion, which of course was just breeding ground for disease. But it was super fun. It was nice getting together with everyone, and we're all just recovering, trying to get ready for this next semester of school and getting back to work and whatever, right? So
yeah.
But I love the new year. This is really exciting. I love fresh starts and everything, and it's been fun looking back and looking ahead. So I'm really excited about this episode.
I'm definitely excited about the episode. I am cautiously optimistic about 2022. January, for a variety of reasons, is never my favorite time of year. Because I don't know. I keep telling myself I need to get more into winter sports, like I really need to get more into skiing or snowboarding or something, just so I have something more to do kind of in the January, February range. But right now, it's kind of this long exhale after December and then gearing up for, because the first time I usually head out and, go start taking pictures again and stuff is about in spring break in March. And so the next 2 months are usually kind of a downtime, but I don't know. I'm feeling, like I said, cautiously optimistic, I think would be the way that I would describe it. But I'm definitely happy to be here. And so it's good to be, I guess, well, crap, has it been like a month since the last time we recorded? It feels like it's been a little while.
It has been a little while. The editing helped space things out a little bit, but yeah, we took Christmas off and enjoyed our break.
Just a couple of slackers.
Slackers.
Letting our fans down. What are we doing?
I don't think our pay grade is high enough to
That's true.
warrant that.
Although at the same time, now that I think about it, we did provide our listeners / readers with some new material, because we did post a couple of articles to the Utah.film website. You want to tell us about yours?
Yeah, sure. Well, it was kind of interesting because I'm looking at your article where it was like the 10 best new releases that you enjoyed last year, and honestly, I'm with you on all those picks. And I think it's kind of easy to narrow down what were the best films of last year.
Just because there weren't that many.
I know, exactly. These were the only films worth seeing. Well, I mean, so there's that, but also part of it is I just had a lot of really interesting personal experiences going back to older movies. So I wanted to write about my top viewing experiences. So that's what you can check from me on the website. I only have 5 so far. We might be adding more to it depending on how much I can milk the essay there, right? But
10 is just an obligatory number. I think 5 works. I think 7 is great. Even if you had 3, I just like the idea. Because for sure. Even though I enjoyed putting something together, my 10 best films of 2021 is hardly the most original concept on the wild world of the internets. So,
but I think it's important. It's important to look back and it's like, hey, this is what we want to take with us into the new year. These were the good ones, right? So yeah,
no, and it was. I would also say, and I don't think I really mentioned this in the article, but I think that this would be a good place to touch on it. Is that it did start to feel like more of a traditional holiday movie season. Just in terms of there were some good movies, but also just that there seemed to be more. How would I put it? Just the quantity of holiday releases seemed to feel a little bit, if not back to normal, at least heading in that direction.
Oh, totally.
And then to maybe kind of give a sneak preview for what we're going to talk about in a little while here, as I look over the schedule for 2022, that feels a lot more back to normal direction-wise as well.
Absolutely. No, we're definitely getting back there. So it's exciting to see that progression. in addition to these articles that we have on the Utah.film page, I have to highlight your blog article on Wounded Mosquito. I thought it was
Oh,
just incredible, and I'm totally linking that in the description of this podcast because I mean, to be fair, like I think there's a good argument here where it's very Utah related, and of course, we're very biased towards you and what you do.
as we should be.
No, but like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I mean, like, I knew some things that were going on in your life last year, but like, no idea how that just like last year kicked off just insanely awful, and just all your pictures are beautiful. So I mean,
Oh, thank
that
you.
alone, like, we're the Utah Film website, right? So it's like, if you want to see great pictures of the state, your pictures on there were
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you so much.
So
That's really kind of you to say. I appreciate the fact that you actually bothered to take a look at that sprawling epic. I seriously think that because well, just really really quickly since it's going to be linked on there, I'll just give a little bit of context. Years ago, I used to do the traditional send out Christmas cards, and then just kind of got away from that and thought, oh, you know what? I'm just going to like put together something on. I can't even remember if I was using InDesign or whatever, but I put together like a Christmas letter. And this was even before I got into photography, and I would send that out instead. And then I started publishing it online and just kind of doing like a blog recap. And then the more I got into photography, it became more of like a year in pictures. And it's just evolved into this thing now where, my gosh, this thing was just like 4,000 words and 50 pictures. And it's kind of like, you know what? If you want to take this on, here you go. It's you know, but
no, and it's quite the story. Like you said, epic, and it definitely is. So I enjoyed it so much. I got a good chuckle out of some of your links, especially the intern one.
oh yeah,
Where I
that's
mentioned
right.
oh my gosh, that made me laugh.
That's
It was
because
so fun.
you were featured prominently in last year's. You were a big part of my story of 2021.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, that was yeah. It was just so fun. So I think everyone should read it, and I think there's a lot everyone can relate to, and or even hopefully not relate to because you did go through some crazy stuff
As we
last
all
year.
have, and I think that's kind of
That's the point. Yeah.
right. There's especially now this year was a little bit different, but when I was writing for 2020, it felt different because it felt like, okay, well, instead of just kind of giving you my annual report on this is what's going on in my life, it's like, well, this is what's going on with all of us, and here's all just kind of my little
Yeah.
perspective on it. And so the last couple
Yeah.
have kind of had a little bit of a different tone than your normal kind of Christmas card. Oh, little Bobby is walking now, and Sally's in the fourth grade, and she loves to play the piano. It's more of just kind of a, yeah, and we thought things were bad, and then this happened.
Yep.
And so,
Oh boy.
but yeah, good times, good time. But and happy to say that there were some positive movie aspects of that because that's been a significant part of I think that there's been such an impact on movies and our popular culture as a result of the whole pandemic that
True.
but anyway, well
Yes.
thanks again. That's very kind of you to bring that
No, of
up.
course. I had
So
to. It was so much fun, and I want everyone else to enjoy it. Sorry, we're gonna go on to other news stuff, right?
that's right. Well, that's right because there is some Utah film related news or Utah related film news. I don't know how we'd put that, but how about I just pitch it over to you
Sounds good.
and you could take it while I untie my tongue.
Yeah, sounds good. So Sundance is coming up this month, and this is kind of recent news. Just
It is and it isn't,
I
right?
know, yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. How everything's changing kind of at the last minute. But
Yeah.
Sundance Film Festival for 2022 is taking place starting January 20th, but instead of it taking place, in person, they've moved it all virtual. It's just, with the rising cases and everything, I think everyone at this point wants to play it safe. We don't want to
Yeah.
we don't want any catastrophes, right? So, but yeah, that's kind of a big thing, and it's funny too because and maybe this has been my whole thing with 2021, and now seeing it in 2022, where it's like anytime I've tried to make plans, it just seems like it's so useless. Like
Right.
I was kind of looking into applying and being there because I'm not too far away from Park
Hmm.
City, but and it's like it was all for naught anyways. So I'm kind of glad that I
Yeah.
skipped that hassle because it's all virtual now.
No, it is disappointing. I mean, I never did the full on I'm going to get a hotel in Park City and I'm just going to spend 10 days just watching 7 movies a day type thing. Like I never, it was always a little bit more, maybe 10 odd movies of total coverage, but I kind of miss being up in Park City
Hmm.
and standing in those cattle lines, and it was fun. And some of my favorite movies that I've covered over in the last 10 years came from Sundance. In fact,
Mm.
I think Coda, the one that I named as last year's my best picture of 2021. I think that actually debuted at Sundance, and so they have a way of finding some gems in there. So it's
Oh yeah.
I mean, at least it's still around, but virtually, if better virtual than not at all, I guess. So,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, for sure.
maybe next week, maybe next year it'll be back up to speed.
Yeah. Was it in person last year? I can't
No,
remember.
no, it
Okay, that was
was
virtual
yeah,
as
it
well.
was also online. Yeah, so I think this will be now the second year in a row that they'll have done
Hmm.
it that way. Because in 2020, that all happened before
Yeah.
kind of COVID kicked in. So yeah, so this will be the second year, and then I don't know. Hopefully by 2023, it'll. I keep wanting to avoid the phrase "back to normal" because it's never really going to be back to normal. It's going to be
No.
you know, whatever emerges from all this. But uh, I think overall we're heading in a good direction. I don't
Hmm.
know. Like I
Yeah.
say,
It's
cautiously
normal-ish.
optimistic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
normal-ish. Yeah, normal enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, yeah. So can you think of anything else kind of news related? I mean, that to me seems like the big thing
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, I mean, it is January, which is I put January and September together as far as they're kind of these in terms of like film releases. They're kind of the odd months out, if that makes sense.
Oh
Where
no. Yeah.
because in September, if anything comes out in September, you kind of ask yourself, oh well, why wasn't this good enough to come out in July, or why wasn't this? Because it's not good enough to be a summer release, and they bring it out in September, that you just kind of you raise the eyebrow. And January is kind of the same thing with the holidays. It's like, all right, well, apparently this wasn't good enough to bring out during the holidays, but here it is. And then,
Yeah.
but I mean, but it's not a guarantee. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember how long ago this was now. I remember Paddington 2 came out in January, and that was just a great little movie. Did you ever see any of those?
No, I didn't. But that was good.
That's Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember enjoying the first one, but I remember enjoying the second one specifically. Like I remember that kind of standing out. Like, oh wow, like I didn't. It's like you didn't expect it to be bad, but I also didn't expect it to be that good.
Hmm.
And so you'll find some gems in January, but usually it's kind of a downtime. And I don't know. I'm kind of getting the sense that that's what's happening now. Because
Yeah.
as we look at the new movies to cover, I mean, first of all, there's not that much.
Hmm.
And then when one of them, I can't even really give you a review on. The newest release is going to be the latest Scream movie, which normally I'd be pretty interested to see. I enjoyed some of the first ones, but
Hmm.
they're actually not going to be covering that with my normal press and media outlets, and so if I want to see it, I'm going to have to go see it when it actually just comes out in the regular theater this weekend.
Like the rest of us
But
peasants.
like the rest of the peasants, those poor. So seriously, like it's. But that's usually a bad sign. I can say from extensive experience that if they don't set up press screenings,
Mm.
a lot of time that's just kind of the hint that's like, yeah, we don't really need to have people cover this, do we? you know.
Oh.
but maybe it can prove me wrong. I would love to think that it did prove me wrong. Because like I said, I did enjoy some of the first one, so it'd be interesting to see what they do here. But unfortunately, I can't tell you. I haven't seen it. So one movie that I did see though, which came out last week, was the 355, which is a new kind of a action spy thriller with a female twist, I guess you would say, because the ensemble group of action stars / spies, it's basically about a group of 4 to 5, because they get a 5th by the end of the movie. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little rusty. The holidays, like I said, 2021 was really rough. Feeling a little off my game. So, no, but so you've got this group, and they're all spies from different agencies. One from the CIA, one from MI6, one from Germany. I'm not really sure what their intelligence agency was called. And then you have somebody. Oh my gosh, we might have to edit this out.
No, you're okay.
Anyway, so you have there, four different spies coming from different agencies around the world who all come together to kind of basically chase this software MacGuffin type thing where, which is a little on the routine side where, this software, if somebody gets a hold of it, they can use it to control the, all the networks and the power grids, and they can crash the system and literally crash airplanes, and so they all kind of come into the story because they're trying to hunt down this thing, and initially they're competing with each other until they realize what they're all going for in terms of like a similar goal, and so they team up together and they become kind of like this super spy squad that's trying to figure out not just how to get this MacGuffin type thing, but who's actually behind it, because there's intrigue as far as who's there and who's not, and I really will give away spoilers if I say a whole lot more than that in terms of the plot. My verdict on the thing is it's okay. I like the idea, and I love the cast.
That was the thing for me. Like, I love all the people here, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got Jessica Chastain is the CIA agent. Lupita Nyong'o is the MI6 agent. Penelope Cruz, who is technically not a spy, but she's like a psychologist to the spy agency. And then Diane Kruger is from Germany. And so it's the 4 of them, and then later on they add, like I said, there's somebody else who kind of comes into the mix as well. But just a great cast, really, really fun group, and I think the thing that kind of fell flat for me was that it was just a very predictable plot and story, just where things happen, and the moment they happen, you know exactly what's coming next.
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy this as a matinee type, or maybe like a Discount Tuesday type movie. I really wouldn't encourage people to go see this and pay full price.
Yeah.
But for anybody who does want to see it, I won't give too much more away, but it does kind of feel, you had some really, really great elements and potential, but then the script and the story just kind of falls flat and is just a little too, okay, well, there's just, overall, it feels like a January release, sadly. And so, maybe with some, like I said, I think with a better script, totally would have been a really fun ride. If you had done more with the cast and the elements that you had, I think that, you referring to the filmmakers, not to you personally, Dani. I'm holding you accountable for this movie.
I'm sorry.
Because
I did all I could.
Because I'm just looking for somebody to blame.
just take out all your aggressions on me.
So,
I see. Oh, you know what? This is actually a masculinity thing. You're just so.
Oh, is that what it
against-
is?
Yeah, because these are the female stars, and you just can't support female-led
Oh.
movies. And now you take it out on your female co-hosts. Like,
Oh gosh, you had to point that out.
you're so misogynistic. That's
No,
what this
honestly,
is.
like sincerely, it's kind of the flip side because, like I said, I mean, I love Penelope Cruz and
Oh,
Jessica
yeah.
Chastain and
Oh,
Lupita
yeah.
Nyong'o is just awesome, and I
Everything.
if I can attempt to dig myself out of the hole that I unintentionally.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. But no, I really think that Lupita Nyong'o is just one of the most when I think about the things I have seen her in, you know how a lot of people they don't seem to change much from role to role. It's always kind of them.
Yeah.
But when I think about the stuff that I've seen her do, and a lot of this, honestly, I think is because of that movie. Did you see Us from a couple of years ago, the horror movie?
I'm too much of a wimp. I can't do it. It freaked me out.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips, and it looks like it was very well done. And she
It's
looked
bonkers.
amazing in it.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. No, well, something
Nope,
I
it was
was
a
wondering.
script.
Something I was wondering with this is because they were marketing this, tying it to like Jason Bourne and stuff like that, like it was the same creators, right?
Yeah.
And so was this something that do you think they're trying to go for a series? Like, this is like a 007 kind of group. This is the next Bourne kind of series. Like, was that kind of the feel, or is this more like just a standalone? If you want to see it, cool. If not, it's not a big deal.
my guess is if the movie did well, they would absolutely keep it going. I didn't get the sense from the movie itself that it was really trying hard to set things up and then come back next time for this, because a lot of them do. I mean, a lot of times
Yeah.
they do. They
Yeah.
really make it obvious that okay, and we're going to be back, so please come and see this movie and support it so we can make another one. This one I think would serve perfectly well as a standalone, but obviously leave room for sequels and stuff. I don't see it becoming the next Jason Bourne necessarily. I don't know because I'm watching this and there's a very clear theme about the female characters coming together and stuff, and it made me think of like, well, is this because there are lots of other kind of female action star spy. I'm just thinking about Scarlett Johansson and
Oh yeah.
as Black Widow, and then Florence Pugh was in the last, because she's obviously being set up to be the next Black Widow kind of character, and so I'm thinking about other kind of similar ones that I don't know. I'd almost rather kind of see those series continue in a little bit, in a way, but I don't know. Does that answer the question?
No,
Or
I think that's
am
totally
I digging
fair.
more holes?
No.
Am I?
Uh,
So, yeah, but yeah, so outside of 355 and Scream, which I did not see or did not get the opportunity to see, maybe I should clarify. Yeah, not a whole lot of new stuff to cover.
that's kind of it for what we've got right now. But there are a lot of movies coming out this year. And kind of what you were saying before, how things are starting to look kind of normal-ish. Like,
Yeah.
the releases, just looking through them, it seems like a very normal year. Your normal genres, your normal faces. We're going to see a lot of same actors and directors.
Mhm.
Like, it's very... It honestly, like, it kind of felt like we're going back to 2019 a little bit, especially with some of the sequels. Like, hey, remember these movies that we really liked? Let's have some more of those. And you know what I mean?
And sadly, some of these ones that, you didn't want to see any more of this, did you? Well, here it is.
But that happens every year, right? So it's almost like,
yeah.
So even the horrible stuff kind of gives me that little, like, warm, fuzzy feeling where it's like, oh, man, I love hating this stuff.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's, because you were kind enough to go through and put together a nice Google Doc that listed everything, and I was reading through these, and I think I probably mentioned before, I really don't try super hard to track everything that's coming down the road because I don't want lots of spoilers and stuff. But
Yeah.
just looking through this list, it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that was. Oh yeah, wow, look at all these. So
Hmm.
so yeah. But it's also you put the list together, so you can get to go first. What are you most
Sure.
excited to see?
Um, Something I'm really intrigued by, a pattern that I'm seeing, is that there's kind of this spin on the superhero genre. Like, I love it when, creators are taking inspirations where it's like, oh, this is, popular. How can we kind of like morph this a little bit? And so there's a lot of these, like, superhero in the real world kind of like unbreakable, like, where it's definitely not in Marvel. It's not something you find in comic books, but it's like, how could we make this more grounded or play into these popular things? So something that I'm really excited to see, starring Michelle Yeoh, who I just, she's amazing. I love her. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it's playing into that whole multiverse superhero kind of stuff. And she has these like other lives where she learned these different skills and she can like hone in on them, and it just looks like a really exciting, very stylish kind of film. And so I think it's kind of fun seeing here's something we've seen a million times, but you add a little creativity and some something a little more to it, where it's
Yeah,
it's something that I think would be really, really fun to watch. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
cool.
um yeah, is there anything in that realm that?
So I'm not that familiar with the ones that you've kind of designated as the spin-off, the superhero spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, there are, which I guess is somewhat significant, is since I've been bashing on superhero movies for the last couple months. But I am really excited to see the new Thor movie.
Oh, right.
Basically, ever since Ragnarok, Thor has just been propelled to at or near the top of my favorite, really favorite superheroes, is let alone Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whatever Love and Thunder is, I'm excited to see it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I am so with you there. I think it's going to be just so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of that realm, and there are just so many superhero movies. I don't even want to go into like explaining them because everyone knows. Because I feel like out of anything on this list, like I had to really hunt down for any of the other ones because, those ones are so well advertised. Like we've known, Thor: Love and Thunder, like we knew about that movie like years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
so, but moving on to like other things, lots of biopics I saw, a lot of like
Yeah.
musician kind of stuff. So I didn't know if there were any there that you're interested in, since you're more the music
Well,
guy. I don't know much with music. Who's
well, I
Elvis? I
mean,
don't know. Marilyn
who
Monroe
is
who?
Elvis? No, the Elvis one jumped out at me. Obviously Marilyn Monroe.
Mhm.
Now Whitney Houston. I don't know. I guess of all of these, I mean, I'm a big Elvis fan in a
Mhm.
way. I mean, I've got a Velvet Elvis in my office,
Oh, no way.
which is more of a, yeah. Well, it's more of a pop culture thing than a diehard Elvis fan type thing. But
Fair.
but the one that what's interesting, the one I feel more connected to is the Whitney Houston one, because Whitney Houston is more of what I guess would consider my contemporary, right? Because Elvis died very soon after I was born. Marilyn Monroe was gone quite a ways, before my time.
Mhm.
But I kind of, as a kid, watched Whitney Houston's career,
Mm.
and so there's kind of this, I don't know, it's kind of a melancholy thing. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, Whitney Houston, that's so sad. And so I don't know if I can say one thing about it, and this is without having read or watched any trailers or anything. I hope that it celebrates the best of her career instead of just kind of focuses on the downfall or the sad,
Mhm.
because it seems like there are so many of these biopics that even though they're well produced and well acted. I'm thinking about the Judy Garland one from a couple years ago, and
Oh,
I'm and
yeah.
I'm and what was the other one? There was another one that was oh, that was very recent. I'm blanking on it now, but it seems like there's this tendency to just recreate this, like the bitter. Well, even like with Princess Di, which I don't know if this is the best comparison, but with her movie last year, it was just about this weird surreal weekend as she was having kind of a mental breakdown before her death, and
Yeah.
and so it's like, Whitney Houston was an incredible performer and had some amazing stuff. And so I hope that they do that instead of just like, I hope it's not like, well, here's this dramatic retelling of the last 6 months of Whitney Houston's tragic life,
It's like, hey, remember that sad moment? Let's relive that.
Right, right. Because
Yeah.
that's what, as much as I really appreciated what Renee Zellweger did with the Judy Garland,
Yeah.
because wasn't that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this movie is all about the end of her life. I don't want to just see the end of her life. I want to remember. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
It's-
I feel ya. That's totally fair.
So what else is on your list here?
Yeah, so I also have some things highlighted with animated, like of course Pixar and Disney are churning out a whole bunch of things. I'm really excited for DreamWorks' The Bad Guys.
Okay.
I don't know, the animation style and the story of it, like it feels very like kid style Ocean's 11
Okay.
with animated animals stealing from humans. I don't know, it just looks really interesting to me, and it looks like
That
it'll
does
be a
sound
fun
fun.
story. And I love supporting animation that's not Disney. Is that a bad thing to say? Sometimes I feel guilty.
No,
But
no.
but even that being said, like I mean, I'm still gonna see Lightyear because like, there's still
Sure.
that like loyalty. Maybe that's the thing. I'm like in a teenage phase where it's like I want to rebel against what I loved as a kid, but I still love
There you
what I
go.
loved as a kid.
I think it's very natural to cheer for the underdog, right?
Yeah.
And because Disney is so good and so kind of omnipresent, I think it's
Yeah.
natural to want the best from the little guy, right? You want these kind of smaller productions to do well. Now I know that as I'm looking at your list, so maybe it's going to get its wide release this year. Is the Belle? I watched. This is awful. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I watched the first half of it in my marathon, cranking through lots of different movies to try to, kind of get caught up for the vote, because a couple people had recommended it, and it's very much kind of an anime, adaptation, very very stylized, and it is kind of
Yeah.
like this Beauty and the Beast type thing, but I like it looked really cool, but I just couldn't get into it. So that one I think might have already got kind of like a limited release
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you do like kind of more of an anime style animation, I think this one would be really interesting for you.
Yeah.
But it
That's a good
wasn't
one to highlight.
Yeah, it wasn't my thing. Anything else? I mean, I'm looking through the list. I'm thinking, oh, Mission Impossible 7, that'll be good.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to see Knives Out too, just because
That one's
I mean,
so
I enjoyed the
fun.
first one.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm intrigued to see what the sequel looks like. I mean, is this?
She gets framed for murder again.
I guess. I mean, because I didn't see that as a movie that was asking for a sequel.
Right?
And so it's like, is this more adventures of the Daniel Craig character,
Mm-hmm.
or is, you like to say, is it a continuation of that actual story?
Yeah.
But
It'll be fun to see.
the first one was good enough that I'm excited to see what they do with the second. So
Yeah.
unlike some other movies, so maybe
Do you want to go into
unless
that?
you have any, if you're ready,
Well,
if you have, if
Yeah, I mean,
you
they're
know.
just so I have this oddball kind of category where it's just like I don't know how to categorize them. So like there's this one where Nick Cage is like himself, but like he gets wrapped up in this kind of like I don't know, something goes wrong and it's like action, but it's like Nick Cage is Nick Cage. It's the unbearable weight
Yeah.
and massive talent. So like weird ones like that. Jordan Peele has another horror movie coming out called Nope. I also highlighted the outfit, which I'm mostly just excited for because I love crime dramas and Mark Rylance, who of BFG and Bridge
Okay.
of Spies fame. And maybe I'm just excited to see him again because I really liked him in Don't Look Up. Like his character was just hilarious, killed me. He's so funny.
Yeah.
But just a bunch of kind of movies like that where it feels. Whereas last year, it's like the only movies that were coming out were like, big name ones where like they kind of held off the release because they wanted it to be released in a theater. But now it's like you can have that freedom to do something kind of weird and different and creative, and that's something I'm really looking forward to this next year.
Yeah. No, it would not surprise me at all if some of my favorite movies of the year come out of this category that you put together, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Babylon looks like so Damien Chazelle did that one. Is that what you're saying? The La La
Yeah,
Land
yeah, yeah.
director, and we're gonna have a new we're gonna have a western from Scorsese, and so oh yeah, no, that'll be look at that, those. It looks like there's some promise in there for sure. But I'm excited to talk about the movies that I think are going to be crap. So let's talk about that.
Sounds good. I think everything in that category for me is just all sequel stuff where I am so scared. I am so scared because like I loved a lot of these series. So like first one that I'm seeing is Fantastic Beasts, which I'm okay, and this is
Yeah.
gonna break my husband's heart. I'm not a big Harry
Yeah.
Potter fan, like he is.
Okay.
But when Fantastic Beasts came out, like I had the screenplay book, I had like all this like artwork from it. Like I mean, I was just the biggest fan of Fantastic Beasts because I loved seeing Harry Potter in a different setting. Because like I wanted to
Uh,
see magic in the real world, like, and I just thought they did it
okay.
so well. Loved the execution; it was so fun. And then the second movie just felt like a trailer for the third movie. So I don't care about the
Uh,
third movie. I'm mad now, but I'm still gonna see it
yeah.
because I'm hoping that they like it was worth it what they did with the second movie, where they're still like the story's still gonna be interesting enough. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, this was one of the ones I was going to highlight as well.
Yeah.
For I guess similar but slightly different reasons.
Okay.
I mean I adored the Harry Potter movies, and I read most of the books. I think I've read about 4 out of the 7, I guess. So I really love those movies, and when I saw that they were going to do this Fantastic Beasts thing, it's like, oh, well, that'll be fun because it's going to be the same atmosphere and kind
Yeah.
of spirit and vibe, but it's going to be this different time period. And so I went in cautiously optimistic, right? And saw the first one and then just thought, oh, that was nice. That was fine. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but I just kind of thought, oh, okay, well, it's okay. And then the second one was just, oh
It
man,
was so
do we
bad.
really have to do this?
Yeah.
Like, it just, I don't know, the whole, and the only conclusion I've drawn so far, and I'd be interested to get your take on this either now or when we see the next movie,
Sure.
but like, I think one of the big shortcomings that with this franchise is that one of the things that made Harry Potter so magical, no pun intended, right? is that we were watching these movies and reading these books through the eyes of kids growing up. And so there was a very youthful, wide-eyed, optimistic sense of wonder. And obviously, like, you're watching these characters grow up and go through puberty and go through all this, just this awkward. I mean, some of my favorite stuff is when they're going to the Yule Ball and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But so with Fantastic Beasts, it's still a Harry Potter universe, but it's just kind of regular adults, and they have some personality, but I don't know, it just never, like I said, the first one was fine, and the second one made me think we don't need to do this. And
Yeah.
so I have zero interest in seeing this third one
Yeah.
at all.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'll end up seeing it, so I'll spare you that one. I'll take that one for the team. And then this one you might need to see before me, just because like this one I'm so scared of, is Jurassic World Dominion. I
Okay.
am
Okay.
because did you see the last one?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
the way they
And
ended that, I'm just like you painted yourself in a corner. Like there's no coming out of this one. I don't know.
yeah, no, I completely feel what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so how do I explain this in a concise way that doesn't take 20 minutes? So the first one, as we've discussed before, the first one is absolutely fantastic. Just
Yes.
an incredible, incredible movie. I did not see the first two sequels, like Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, for years.
Really?
Partially because I want to say that the second one came out either just before or during my time in Chicago when I
Oh,
was,
yeah.
you know, missionary.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of that gap there. I really enjoyed the first Jurassic World, though I kind of recognize that yeah, this is basically kind of the same plot as the first movie. And then the second one, I like the idea at the end that, oh, okay, well, now we're finally going to kind of bring the dinosaurs into the real world and that's going to go crazy without kind of realizing that they had already done that because I wasn't as familiar with the sequels to Jurassic Park. So, so altogether, the what was the previous movies? I can't remember the sequel to Jurassic World, the last one. That is like exhibit A, or at least exhibit C or D for me, as an example of why I want to do an entire series of re-reviews where I go back and say, you know what? I think I was wrong about this one. And it's either like much better than I thought or it's much worse than I thought. Because I think I gave the sequel a pretty good review, not like a smashing review
Yeah.
or anything like that, but kind of in retrospect, it's you know what, that really wasn't very good, was it? And I don't know.
Although
So
there were some good
I'm
elements, like I can totally see that. It's just that ending that threw me off. And so like I would have been excited for another Jurassic World maybe, but it's like and then they released a first look at it and I'm just like, "Oh no. I'm
that's
I'm
how I feel
nervous."
about the Batman.
The Batman?
When
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw a trailer for the Batman, I just thought, and you know what, I don't hold Twilight against Robert Pattinson. I am perfectly good with the idea of him being a good actor. He was bonkers in The Lighthouse, you know, but I just saw the trailer for the Batman and just my heart kind of sunk. It's like, oh, I think I'm worried about this one.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, I think the one that not only am I not looking forward to, but I may specifically just refuse to see is Halloween Ends. Because I feel like I got suckered into seeing the sequel last year.
Yeah.
So there was the the Halloween reboot.
Yep.
Then last year it was Halloween Kills.
Yes. Yeah.
And then this year is supposed to like wrap up the trifecta with Halloween Ends, which I'm sure is going to be completely untrue. I'm sure they're going to just keep cranking these things out until the end of time.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be Halloween
And
Ends?
just
Question
oh,
mark?
right. No, this one, oh my gosh. Because I'm just not a big slasher fan.
Yeah.
And I think that the only way you can justify slasher movies is if there's kind of an element of fun to them. And Halloween, the reboot, like 2017, I think it was, it just seems sadistic. And like it wasn't like, I don't know, there just didn't seem to be any purpose to it other than, well, we're going to send this horrible, entity guy into the world and he's just going to just kill people. And then the second one last year, the idea was, oh, well, now the town's going to turn on him and they're going to hunt him down. And I thought, oh, well, that actually sounds like kind of an interesting twist.
Yeah.
So maybe this will be worth, oh, nope, it's just another, and it's like so I just felt totally duped, and so with this one, it's like, you know what? I'm
We're done with
sorry.
the friendship. Yeah.
I I think I think barring any like massive financial circumstances or incentives, I just oh my goodness.
Oh man.
I don't know. I don't even
No,
know that I
that's
would
fair.
want to see it to make fun of it, just anyhow.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's one I'm not even looking at. I probably should have put it as my. I'm not looking forward to it, but I know I'm not gonna see slashers or horror stuff. I can't stomach it.
yeah. Now I mean, and this is another article that I wrote last year, but there's a very clear difference. I don't know, because I do like horror movies,
Yeah.
but certain types of horror movies, and like
Yeah.
Halloween is a perfect example of, yeah, this is kind of what I don't like about this genre. But anyway, okay, so lest I spend too much time being pessimistic about the year to come, I do want to introduce something that I'm really excited to present for this episode. Last month, I did a special interview with the staff of Top Hat Video up in Bountiful, a video store that's been around for years and years and years and has faced down Blockbuster and all kinds of other threats. And so this is something I'm really excited to present for this episode. And so off we go. I have two people from Top Hat Video in Bountiful, Utah. I've got Shanna, Earl, and Cade, Handley. Guys, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
So happy to be
Now,
here.
oh yes, and I'm happy to have you. Now, I should ask, you guys are in Bountiful, right? Because
Yes.
that
we are.
area, that zone, because I used to live down the street from your location, and my phone could never tell whether I was in Bountiful, North Salt Lake, or Woods Cross, because it seemed like it was always pinging back and forth. So
Yeah.
I know you're off 2600 South in the Bountiful exit, but long time, been there, and so it is Bountiful.
It is Bountiful, yeah. But I know what you mean. Sometimes it seems like it could be Woods Cross or North Salt Lake, and we're right on the cusp.
Right. And in more ways than one, right? Because so you're in that location now, but originally we're back in the olden days. We're in 5 Points Mall.
Correct.
And we're Adventureland Video. And so one of the first, I guess, kind of questions, kind of an open-ended question I'm going to throw your way, is just, for our audience that isn't as familiar, give me a little bit of kind of like a concise history of Top Hat and kind of where it started and kind of how it wound up where it's at now.
Yeah, so Top Hat started in 1983 as Adventureland Video, like you mentioned. And we started at 5 Points Mall, and it was just this tiny little store. We had maybe under 200 VHSs for rent, maybe a dozen VCRs. And my in-laws, Lee and Lona Earl, who opened Top Hat Video, they would go to their neighbors and give them a VCR to try and say, hey, give this a try. This is really awesome. You can watch a movie in your home. So they were pretty much peddling their business to start out with. They really worked it. They didn't make money for many, many years, but they stuck with it. And they had Adventureland Video for about 6 months and then changed it to Top Hat Video to kind of ward off corporate invaders at the time. So, yeah, I don't remember how many Top Hat Videos there were back in the 80s, but there were quite a few, and they were all independently owned.
Okay. And so the name change was basically to just kind of keep the business going. It wasn't just kind of I think Top Hat's going to be a better fit.
No, it was, yeah. A bunch of video store owners with Adventureland Video kind of banded together and said, let's ward off corporate invaders and let's change our name and let's stick together, and yeah. We're the last of them.
Right. Well, and that's, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys hear this all the time because a traditional video store in 2021 is such a unique, surviving business. And so obviously there was a move made back then to kind of stay ahead of business changes, and corporate invaders, I think is the phrase you used, how else? I mean, what would you describe as the key to Top Hat's longevity? How have you survived all these other weird and innovative, all the stuff I was talking about?
Yeah, I think it's just perseverance and dedication and passion. We have employees that have worked here for 10, 15 years. I've been here for 25 years. And we've just wanted to keep this place going. We felt like if this place was gone, you wouldn't have access to so many films. It would just be lost. And so, yeah, definitely perseverance. There's been many times where it's been close to closing. So, yeah, but we're hanging on.
Yeah. Oh no. And so you talked about like access to titles, and that's one of the things that I've always noticed was that, as expansive as stuff like, like Netflix is, and even, Blockbuster back in their heyday, it always seemed to be, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it. There were a lot of titles, but they weren't necessarily quality titles, right?
Right.
And so where, because it seems to me like when I get on Netflix and I'm just kind of bored and I'm just kind of surfing around, once I get past about like 3 or 4 dozen of kind of like their main, these are kind of our highlighted titles, suddenly I'm just lost in this sea of stuff that I've never heard of that really seems like kind of like B, C, and lower type movies. Whereas going to see you guys, you have all of the kind of like the new releases and all that kind of stuff. But then when you do the deep dive, there's all this stuff that, oh wow, I'd totally forgotten about this. This is, I saw this 30 years ago, or this is a movie from 20 years ago from, like in high school that I really loved.
I think you did touch on a good point. I think we're drowning in streaming content, and I have access to, I pay for like 4 streaming channels, and I flip through like crazy, and then I don't find anything, and I'm frustrated, and if my Wi-Fi's down for a minute, I can't, the streaming sucks. And the physical media part of it, I'm like, can I just go to Top Hat and get the video that I want to watch? And so we've always dealt with competition from the very beginning. Blockbuster was a huge competition for us. I think there were 3 Blockbusters in Bountiful during our heyday. So we've always kind of dealt with that competition. We haven't tried to be anything except for who we are. Blockbuster, I think, tried to do everything, and we just couldn't afford 24 copies of the new arrival that they would promise, so we had to think of other ways to get people in the store, and that was through just having a good variety, like you said, just movies that you watched 20 years ago as a kid, and you could find at Top Hat, plus a new arrival, and just talking to the clerks at Top Hat. I think the heart of a video store is the clerk, and you get your movie suggestions, and you get to know the people and what they like. And this new movie Dune that came out just recently, a lot of people were coming in wanting to rent the 1980, I think, 3 version. And I said, have you ever heard of the Alejandro Jodorowsky Dune, the documentary? And they were, no, I've never heard of that. And so there's an example of talking to somebody.
Yes. And
just finding out new ways to watch, and people love Dune, and they were just wanting to see more, and that was more, and it's an amazing documentary if you haven't seen it.
Oh yeah. No, in fact, I mean, because we started doing this podcast after, because that documentary was about 5 years ago? Maybe?
Yeah, like 2013, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's been a while, and I just remember kind of feeling crushed because because I grew up, I saw the David Lynch version when I was a kid, and of course, not having read the book beforehand, I didn't have like this preconceived notion of what Dune was supposed to be, and so I enjoyed the absurdity of the Lynch version. I wasn't like offended, like, oh, I can't believe they left this out or whatever, but obviously knew that it was campy and corny,
right?
And then I saw the documentary for the Jodorowsky one, and just thought, man, I wish I could have seen. I wish that would have,
I think they were like 5 million short of that being released, and it's such a bummer.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, because if I remember right, having seen it, you can correct me if I'm wrong. They were trying to use people like Giger and different concept artists before they did stuff, because Giger was the one who did the stuff for Alien, right? But this was before Alien, so this wasn't, in the 80s after it was already established. He would have been the first person to use some of this guy's ideas. And oh man, that would have been
I
a great
know.
movie.
That artwork would have been amazing to see. I wish I had that book.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had Mick Jagger and Pink Floyd and
that's right.
on board.
That's right.
It would have been amazing, spectacular.
If only they could have made twice as many movies in the 70s as they actually did. That's fun stuff.
Yeah.
So you touched on something that I thought would be interesting to follow up on, and you've already kind of answered this, but maybe if I kind of focus in on it a little bit, when you're talking about your kind of competition with Blockbuster, you said that we just wanted to be who we were, who we are, and as it compared to kind of what kind of the corporate overload, 24 copies of the new release that Blockbuster is. How would you describe what Top Hat is for people who have not? Because I know what you guys are. I have a clear impression because I've been going to see you guys for years. But for somebody who has not been by the store, how would you describe? What's your elevator pitch for what Top Hat Video is?
Oh my gosh, I think just the culture of a video store is amazing, and I think there's a lot of cultural awakenings that happen at a video store. I think for Top Hat itself, there's, of course, I don't know if you've dealt with the customer service side of Top Hat, where we make sure we talk to everybody. We've always had an amazing selection. We're a mom and pop store. I think people love to shop local. Bountiful itself has been a great community. They've been very loyal to us. I think they're very loyal to mom and pop shops. So I think that part as well.
Nice. Yeah, and I completely echo that because, like I said, I have my own thoughts on it, but I want to hear what you guys would say, because one of the first things, other than having kind of the cool selection and all that kind of thing, and the first thing that stands out to me is the customer service. Just always the interaction, and not just the fact that the customer service is good and prompt and on time and all that kind of thing. It's the enthusiasm, and it's the passion for what you guys are doing, which
it's fun to talk to people.
Yeah.
We're cinephiles, right. Josh. That's what can we say?
Oh, you had to go use the big word now.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna have to change the rating of this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not a cinephile. I watch a lot of trash, so. But yeah, you talk about Blockbuster, and they did have that kind of corporate feel about them. You go in and they all looked the same, they dressed the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't special.
And I want to point out about Blockbuster. Yes, Blockbuster would have 24 titles of Titanic or whatever, 24 copies, but they wouldn't have like the Dune. How do you even say that?
Jodorowsky.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm dumb, but
they wouldn't even know about it.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know, and they wouldn't carry it. And so you get more of the big titles, but you are missing 20,000 smaller titles that we have. Same with Netflix and stuff. Really. It's a big difference in terms of the variety, I think.
No, it feels like a place more, just like you say, for cinephiles, for people who love movies, even the trashy ones, right?
Yeah.
There's a place for,
Most
the lowbrow movies for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so here's a question. Since you said that you've been, working for Top Hat for a few years, what would you describe as the biggest change from when you started working? And I'll address this to both of you, but Cade, I'm assuming you haven't been there for 25 years, right?
Not quite. I haven't even been alive that long, but
still. So for each of you, what would you describe as the biggest change from when you started working at Top Hat to what the current conditions are? And maybe I'll disqualify COVID references because that's too obvious.
I think for me, I've seen, we've always kept up on all the new technology. When DVD came out, we were the first to get DVD over Blockbuster. We were the first to do Blu-ray, first to do 4K. But I think streaming coming along, and that's really been kind of the biggest change that we've seen. I think it's just, and I don't know if you've read much about Ridley Scott and his last Duel movie.
No.
that he put out. So he there's this new movie called Last Duel. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know about it, and I know
it didn't
Ridley
do
Scott
great
did.
it
did horrible.
It didn't do great, but it's actually
Okay.
it's actually it's an okay movie. The ratings were pretty good. So he blames he uses the term apathetic millennials. He blames them for ruining his film because they're not going to the theaters, they're not seeing movies. And and it's a harsh term. I don't think it's that exactly, but I think a lot of it is streaming is just too convenient, and I think streaming is ruining film, honestly.
Okay.
So, and then if film's not being made to be shown in the theater, then the video store doesn't really have much to put out. So
how maybe to elaborate a little bit, what is it specifically that you think about streaming that is harming the filmmaking business process?
I think a big problem is things get, like you've said, lost in the shuffle. These movies come out and they never get seen. They're dumped on Netflix, even big movies by big directors, unless it's like Irishman, Martin Scorsese. A lot of these good directors' films, they just get dumped. They're never seen. And then the other problem is like you said before, with streaming, you are on there for an hour just doom scrolling, and you never watch anything. I've had so many times like, okay, I'm gonna watch a movie. It's 9:00. I want to be in bed by midnight, and I'll be scrolling for an hour. It'll be 10:00. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not watching a movie anymore. So it really is important. Streaming. Back in the day, you have Sunday night movie on television. It forces choice. And the video store does too. Obviously you have choices, but at the end of the day, you got to pick one home movie, and when you get home, you have to watch that movie.
Yeah, I think it's a commitment.
Yeah.
I think it's a commitment to go to the video store. It's a commitment that you made. There's a physicality of it. You go to the store, you get in your car, you drive to the video store, you go in, you talk to people, you find out what you want to watch, you pick up this movie, you check it out. You have to bring it back, so you're gonna, it is a commitment.
Yeah, well, it becomes more of an event, right? I can't take credit for this idea, but I know that one of the arguments I've heard is that, with things like streaming, if you never have to leave your living room, it's less special.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if you make the effort to go out and, drive over to Top Hat, look through, so you're going to see things that you wouldn't have considered. The constant thorns in my side is that it seems like when I'll go to the video store, I will suddenly forget all of the movies that I've thought about in the last 2 or 3 weeks that I thought, oh, I need to go rent that. And I need to write them down, because then I actually go and it's like, oh, I know that there were like 3 or 4 that I wanted to get and I can't remember what they,
Yeah.
But it's still, there's an effort there, and it feels more special. Like it could actually be a night out to go, like, versus Netflix and chill, right? Which is just kind of like the lazy stay home thing. Going out to a video store makes it feel like, oh, well, there's, like you say, kind of a commitment.
Yeah, and plus there's the human interaction, there's the human connection, which I think a lot of people are missing out on, especially nowadays with COVID. So.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's the other big problem with streaming. Real quick. You don't know what you like. You get a human recommendation from someone like, oh, you like Adam Sandler movies. Well, here's a good Adam Sandler movie, or here's a comedy similar to.
You don't
Adam
just
Sandler
kick those
movie.
people out.
Yeah, well, I love Adam Sandler.
Oh.
I'll defend Adam Sandler to the day I die. So, but with
we'll
streaming,
do a special episode, and you can defend Adam Sandler.
Yes, no, I would love to. But yeah, with streaming, you don't have. It's say, oh, you might like this, but it's just, an algorithm saying, because you watched one movie that you might like another.
Yeah, it's not personal. It's not a personal algorithm. We're personal.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a good way of putting it. Okay, so aside from whatever is just popular at the moment, right? Because whatever the new releases are, obviously those are going to be getting a lot of attention. Have you noticed, beyond that, are there any movies that just seem to get rented a lot? Like, do you have like some all-time most popular titles that for whatever reason people just always seem to be checking out this movie?
Besides the Hallmark section?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Christmas ones are easy. Like Elf is like, I think the movie we have the most copies of in the store.
I think that one and Groundhog Day we have the most copies.
Interesting. Yeah. And so those ones just seem to get the repeat viewings, the repeat.
Well, it's a little bit of cheat because they are kind of holiday movies and stuff. But I'm trying to think of like the most rented just non-holiday?
Bountiful loves romantic comedies, so those get rented
Okay.
a lot. People are always coming and asking for recommendations on that. Around Halloween time, they want a good scary movie that's not rated R. So
Yeah.
we have
Okay.
a big section of movies that are scary that are not rated R.
But no more brain cavity anymore, right?
No brain cavity. I love that you bring that up.
It was one of my favorite things. Oh my goodness. So okay. So obviously, I got to clue the listeners in here. So one kind of unique thing about Top Hat is that you guys will have special subcategories and kind of featured categories beyond like comedy and drama and action, all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my all-time favorites was there was always this section. I think it was over usually by the horror movies, right? And it
The
was
very
called,
bottom shelf of the horror was our brain cavity.
yeah, just so you have to be looking to find it.
Right.
Maybe that's intentional. But it was called Brain Cavity, and that is just like the all-time like the cult hits,
Yeah.
like and some just absolutely crazy wacky movies down there. It actually inspired me to start my own Brain Cavity cult collection.
Really?
And oh yeah. In fact, I'm staring at it right now. I could name off some of the titles.
I love this. You have to
Um,
name a couple.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've got. I'm looking at Evil Dead 2. I'm looking at Rubber, the
Rubber.
we've got
The tire.
the killer tire. Yeah.
Yep.
I've got Eraserhead on it. I've got Harold and Maude. I actually have a copy of Johnny Lingo over there. I've got Ruben and Ed,
Oh,
local
yeah.
filmmaker Trent Harris,
yes.
right?
Yep.
I've got Schlock, which was I believe John Landis's first movie. Trapped by the Mormons.
Because I didn't think Trapped by the Mormons was available on DVD.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
It is.
It's one of our
Oh, yeah.
favorites.
We have a copy
Is
of
it?
Yeah.
Beaver trilogy that I got at Ken
Right.
Sanders Rare Books.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of a kindred business, right? Ken Sanders
Yeah.
would be.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about working at Top Hat?
I'll repeat myself, but I think it's the culture. I think it's the relationships that I build, and for working here for 25 years, I've built a lot of relationships and seen a lot of people come and go, and I've gone to weddings, I've gone to funerals of customers, of employees. We've employed over 200 people, and
Oh wow,
yeah, so I think it's the culture and the relationships.
that's cool. Cade, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it's being at a job that I get to talk about and interact with a topic I'm interested in, which is movies. I mean, I worked at Dick's grocery store, but I'm not passionate about bread or groceries, really. So yeah, being here, getting to talk movies every day. We get to watch put movies on the screens, and yeah, I mean, I just like being around movies, so...
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I had a stint in high school where I worked at, now this was the Pages Lane Dick's Market, which has since moved to Parish Lane, but I did my time as a grocery bagger back in the day. And
Yeah, that was me. It sucks, but,
So Josh, I would ask you what keeps you coming back to Top Hat?
just it's a business I believe in, and just kind of some of the stuff that I mentioned before, just that, I know that there are going to be titles there that are available that I'm not going to find in kind of, the obligatory, that, like I say, whenever I look at whether it's Amazon Prime, whether it's Netflix, they have good movies, but you look through the different categories and they're really just kind of cycling through like the same 2 dozen.
Mm-hmm.
And so to really kind of dig in, for a guy who has his own cult section in his collection, Top Hat's the kind of place where I'm going to go to find stuff. And then, but even that, I still say would take a back seat to just the customer service experience, because having worked at Dick's Market, I also worked for about almost a year at, you remember the Warehouse it was on 5th South in Bountiful. It used to be Pegasus
Oh, I
Video,
do.
and then it became the Warehouse. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I worked there just like during my first year of college, and kind of like you guys described. I mean, the interacting when I'm helping people find music, or when I was helping people find movies, that was fun. Like standing behind the cash register, which most of that job was just kind of a drag. It was obligatory. But I've had enough customer service experience myself that I really appreciate when people love it and are enthusiastic about it, because I know it's not the kind of thing that it was not easy for me to be enthusiastic about, and you know, and so I think that, you know, the culture that you describe, and going into a place where people are happy to be there and they're excited to help, and it's something that we're all kind of, you know, we're all into this. It's a place you want to be, and it's like I said, it's the kind of business I want to support. I mean, that's I want you guys to go for 100 years to come, you know, and that's as convenient and as many benefits as I see with stuff like, you know, like streaming and all that kind of thing. I question sometimes whether it's just me being kind of a technological laggard, right? Because I'm always a little bit behind the curve with some of this stuff, but I still really love physical media too. And I don't like the idea of having my entire collection on the cloud somewhere,
Right.
which is going to crash or which is going to be hacked.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love being able to look across the room, which you guys can't see, and see a big rack full of physical Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff. And so, you know, that Top Hat's all part of that. So we're recording this in December. And so 2021 is getting ready to wrap up. One of our last episodes, I just did a big breakdown of kind of all the prestige movies that are like, you know, award hopefuls and stuff like that. And so this is, you know, definitely time to kind of look back. The last couple of years have been really interesting in this regard because we certainly haven't had the volume of movies to choose from that we have in previous years. But I'm still wondering, and the question for both of you, what would you say is your favorite movie of 2021 as of right now?
I already know my answer.
You do. You better go first because I don't.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I'm going to say it hasn't come out everywhere yet. I'm going to give two answers. I'm going to give a documentary and...
Already breaking the rules.
Well, one of them is kind of...
You're fine. Go ahead.
Kind of, what's the word, antithetical to this whole conversation because it's only on Disney+. But
Oh, no.
the Beatles documentary, Get Back, I loved.
Oh.
Which is hardly a
okay,
movie. It's like a
okay.
miniseries, 8 hours. It's really good. I'm a massive Beatles fan.
Right.
But my favorite movie was the new
Right.
Paul Thomas Anderson movie, Licorice Pizza, which is coming out on Christmas wide.
Okay.
And I'm a massive fan of him. I think it's one of like the first, he's like one of the first kind of prestige directors, I don't know, to kind of come back since COVID. And I really enjoyed it,
So you'll be happy to hear that my number one nominee for best supporting actor was Bradley Cooper for his role in Licorice Pizza.
You saw it?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
sweet. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It I liked the movie in general, but I especially loved Bradley Cooper was just off the wall in that movie.
Yeah, he's
Just
incredible,
bonkers
and
crazy.
they're not going to give it to him because he's only in it for 8 minutes, which is ridiculous because the supporting actor category has just turned into basically whoever the second lead is. Like, it can basically be the lead of the movie, and they won't,
Right.
nominate them. But I think a lot of it is supporting. It doesn't matter the length.
So now, and you probably already know this, but did you heard? I hadn't heard until I got into the movie that the lead actor, and of course I'm forgetting his name, but he's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Yes, Cooper Hoffman. Yes.
Yeah.
And Philip
Yeah.
Seymour Hoffman's my favorite actor of all time. So yes, that was very cool to see, and obviously he was great friends with Paul Thomas Anderson. He did 5 movies with him.
Right.
So that was very touching, and he's great.
Well, and I love Get Back too. I mean, it was long, and I really kind of got the sense that you either had to be a real diehard Beatles fan, or just somebody who was really into music to properly appreciate it, because it was so immersive that I could see just kind of casual fans being, oh my gosh, I can't, why won't they finish a song?
Yeah.
They just keep like noodling around, But no, that was great.
Brother was casually into the Beatles, and 20 minutes in, he's like, "What is this? This is garbage." But yeah.
So, had you seen the original Let It Be documentary?
I haven't actually, just because there's no officially released version. The ones online, it just looks like crap. Like, the picture, because it's all bad transfers. And I don't know. I just always heard it was so miserable and unpleasant. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I've got a bootleg of it somewhere from a friend who I think he only intended to loan it to me, but then he moved out of the state, and so I think it's officially part of my collection now.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, no, I think I definitely enjoyed this one better. So
Yeah.
okay, so Shannon, we've given you plenty of time to think now. Best
Yeah,
movie for
I don't-
2021 better be a good one. What do you got?
Nothing like really stands out for me, but I liked the new Val Kilmer documentary.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
did. Yeah, it made me really sad. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then I liked Nobody. I thought that was a really fun action.
Oh my gosh, did I miss? Okay, tell me about Nobody.
What's his name?
Bob
in it? Yes,
Odenkirk.
yeah, Bob Odenkirk.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, it's the
Breaking
same
Bad.
guys that did John Wick. I think they maybe the same
Okay.
producers.
Produced it, yeah.
Oh man,
It's really
Well,
fun.
here-
It's just a fun action
I'm
one.
so unprofessional because I haven't seen it. Yeah.
And then I just watched one recently with Nicolas Cage in it called Pig,
Oh yeah.
which was
I loved Pig. That's the
Yeah.
other one I was about to say. Pig was
Really?
He's so good in Pig.
yeah.
Okay.
So I highly recommend that.
You get these year-end screener packages where like the neon company or different distributors will just start in different companies will send us like award screeners.
Yeah,
And-
we used
and
to
I
get it back in the
know-
day.
Do you?
We used to back in the VHS days. We would get screeners.
Oh, okay. Well, you should still be getting them now.
Right.
You guys deserve them as much as
Who do I
do.
talk to, Josh?
Probably more. Yeah. Well, I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
But I know that Pig came through, and I know that I haven't seen it. So once again, I am so. I mean, pretty much all you have to say is Nicolas Cage, and you can kind of fill in the blanks from there. But what is it about Pig that you loved so much?
I just didn't know what was going to happen. I was just like, where is this movie going to go? He plays this hermit in the middle of the woods and has a pig who hunts truffles, and he sells these truffles. And then there's a backstory about him being this world famous chef, and it's just
But it's not schlocky Nicolas Cage over the top. It's actually
Okay.
played very seriously. I think he's an incredible actor. I love Nicolas Cage and everything.
Oh, he is.
And yeah, it sounds like another over the top, like this guy, he's looking for his pig who's been kidnapped. It sounds ridiculous, but it's played completely seriously. It's quite touching. It's very emotional.
there's a line where he says, "Give me back my pig," and it's in
Yeah.
a Nicolas Cage voice. It's pretty great. And there's a couple of special features on the disc about him, learning to be a chef. So he's hired some chefs to teach him how to cook, and it's just very entertaining.
Oh, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been a fan of Nicolas Cage ever since Moonstruck and Raising Arizona. That early stuff that he did. I've been a fan ever since then. I actually a little while ago was considering. I didn't follow through, but I'm not brave enough to do this. But I thought maybe I should do like a 30 Days of Cage thing. Like we'll just watch a different Nicolas Cage movie every day for a month, and I started looking through his huge IMDb list.
There's some really
And-
bad ones.
Oh yeah, no, and I think that's kind of what made me second guess was, oh, do I really want to? Because there's just not enough to get through it without having to go down some
Right.
of these dark corridors.
Did you see Mandy?
No,
Oh.
no, I know.
Mandy's,
Yeah, see, I'm. This is terrible. See, this is why you guys are the professionals, and and I'm just interviewing you, is because you know, and this is a perfect example of why you come in, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys are going to have all kinds of references and all kinds of recommendations that us lazy types have not gotten around to yet.
We're here for the lazy types.
Hey,
That's
that's
our
great,
slogan.
and we feel so welcome. So okay, so final question, and then thanks again so much. This has been a lot of fun, and of course I could talk you guys' ears off all afternoon, and I'm looking forward to stopping by and talking some more. But officially, the question I want to ask that we ask all of our guests on the Utah Film Pod. If you could name 3 movies that you would recommend to somebody in order to get to know you.
So
Yeah.
the first one I'm gonna say, like, I'm gonna go Toy Story as a kid.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, growing up, all those Pixar. I mean, I think everyone kind of grows up on the Disney kind of stuff. And that's one of the first, and it's a legitimately good movie. I mean, most of those early Pixar ones, especially,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
are legitimately great. So I'm gonna go with that. Second one, I'm just kind of I love Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
I'm obsessed.
So we're
with
taking a
him.
hard left turn now.
Yes, this is my teen years.
We started with Toy Story,
Yeah.
and now
Yeah, this is me when I'm like 13, 14. So obsessed with Quentin Tarantino, so I'm gonna say Inglourious Bastards. That's my favorite. His,
Nice.
just because it's a fun, I think, perfectly made movie. Not, his movies aren't the deepest in the world, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just a fun movie.
Okay.
And then third one, and this is a movie that most people haven't heard of, but it's legitimately great, and I hope people go and watch it. It's called The Dirties. It's a Canadian found footage movie about two kids making movies in their school, but it takes a dark turn. It's a great film. I'm a massive fan of filmmaker Matt Johnson. Most people haven't, discovered him yet. I think he could blow up one day.
Well, he's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian. Yeah,
what happened.
exactly. Yeah, no movies are big in Canada, but
Not enough movies are made in Canada, right?
it's great. It's called The Dirties. Check it out.
Okay.
And it just relates very heavily to me. I relate to the characters quite a bit.
Okay.
They do some bad things, but not that aspect. But just like the making.
I was going to
movies.
say, like, you be careful what you're saying.
Yeah, no, the characters are.
They're these awful people, and I completely relate to them.
Yes. At the end of the day, it's a movie about making movies and people who love movies. So I guess that's kind of why I relate to it. But yeah, those are the three right now off the top of my head.
Cool. Okay, so quick follow-up question then, just because you mentioned Inglourious Bastards, and so since that's what I guess what I would consider Tarantino's other kind of revisionist history movie, what did you think about? Because you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right?
Saw it 4 times in theaters.
Okay, so all right, so
it's
you
a
hated
problem.
it, obviously.
It's
worst movie ever, right? So
yeah.
okay, no, because
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. No, I especially loved, and this isn't even really like the most critical part of it, but I loved the sequence transitioning into the third act when all the lights come on around the valley, and they're playing the Rolling Stones Out of Time in the background, and partially because you see the old Taco Bell light up, and I remember Taco Bell before it was like this super franchise Taco Bell thing, and all right, some very nice choices. Shanna, you ready for this?
I want to try to sound intellectual and say something like, I love a Jean-Luc Godard, Breathless, but I love musicals, and Gene Kelly is one of my favorite dancers and actors of all time. So my favorite is An American in Paris or Singing in the Rain. There's kind of a toss-up between the two. So they just never get old for me. I could watch them a million times and laugh. Singing in the Rain makes me laugh, and I think, and I also will go to a Quentin Tarantino. I love the Kill Bill movies. They're probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. And I don't know what else. This is controversial, but I do love the old Woody Allen. I love Annie Hall. I love Hannah and Her Sisters. Yeah. So just a good movie with that good dialogue is great for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, and those are up there. I especially remember, being introduced, and this, I don't know, you mentioned that it's kind of a controversial choice, and I remember kind of back in the early 90s in high school, that's all I knew was that, you would hear the tabloid stuff about Woody Allen. But then a friend of mine persuaded me to read some of his early prose. So before he started making movies, he was writing for like the New Yorker and doing different essays and stuff, and it was just world changing for me, like artistically, just the writing, and then of course those early movies like Bananas and stuff. Before he became a little more sophisticated with Annie Hall.
I like Bananas as well.
Well. Any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to tell the vast audience of the Utah Film Pod on behalf of Top Hat Video? I'm only being kind of sarcastic.
Well, I think that video stores are very important, and there's so many films that would be lost if a video store wasn't around. Yeah. There's only so much available on streaming, and so please support. I don't know how many local video stores there are out there, but support as many as you can.
Yeah. And can I plug something real quick?
Please, plug away. I appreciate you guys taking your time, and I want you to plug whatever you need.
Top Hat Video, we do tape transfers where we will take people's old like VHS home movies, audio cassette tapes, 8mm tapes, not the reels, unfortunately. And like mini DVDs, all different, basically all kinds of tapes, and we can put them on DVDs or flash drive or digital. And it seems like a lot of people have been, wanting to do that lately. That's been going pretty well.
They make awesome gifts. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll bet. And that's just the way that technology's been changing over the years. I know that I've got a whole backlog of stuff that is now in a format that's a little harder to, my old mini DV, camcorder tapes and stuff like that. So
bring them in, Josh.
Well, I'm planning on coming in soon. That's I'm excited to come and spend some more time with you guys, but really, really appreciative of you guys taking the time today. This was a lot of fun. Just really scratching the surface.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you for having us.
You bet. You're welcome, and good luck.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, this was one heck of an episode. We covered some good ground, and thanks everybody for taking the time to hear us out and listen to us, and to read our stuff online. We're glad to have a couple of new articles for you to check out if you haven't seen them already. And
yeah, we hope you are all in good shape for 2022. We can all be cautiously optimistic together. We're in this together, and we'll survive yet another year, I hope.
Sounds great. Have a great 2022, everybody. We'll see you next time.